Hey, what's up, everybody? So we got a bit of a project today that we gotta try and tackle as quickly as possible. If you remember from the video I shot of plowing snow with my D2, I did that because the Alice isn't starting. So what happened was I was plowing, I parked it and turned it off, and then I went to turn it back on and it cranked for a while, and then nothing. It's very cold outside today.
Downright balmy out today.
But it is warmer than it was the last couple days, so we're going to try and get this done so that we can get that tractor moving, because it's got to go on a bit of a road trip coming up real quick here, so we got to get this project moving. So I'm assuming it's an electrical issue. We're going to start there. Just going to pull out the schematic and start checking connections. Alright, so I usually try and keep this thing covered up, but as you can see, some snow got past my cover, which may be the cause of our short. The other cause I'm looking at is this was, shall we say, farm repaired. A lot of wires going every which way. So we're gonna, I don't know if at this point or not we're going to redo the wiring harness, but this wiring harness is getting redone at some point in time. So, since when it died, I had zero flow from the battery. There is still a charge in it. However, when we turn the key, all we get is a click, which is more than I got the other day. So I think where we're going to start is investigating the starting solenoid. I had to actually take my multimeter in, make sure it was the cables were all stiff, the LCD screen was freezing. But so first thing we're going to check is voltage on the battery. There we go. 15 volts. Alright. Always want to make sure we actually have power, otherwise none of our other tests are going to make sense. So, next we're going to consult the schematic. So here's the wiring schematic with a description of what wires go where. This is in the operator's manual. I was looking in the service manual, but operator's manual. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to check some grounds from battery to chassis. Then we're going to check the line from battery to starter to make sure that we actually have, I should say, we're going to go from battery to solenoid and then solenoid to starter to make sure that our wires from the battery to the starter are good. It's a little hard to reach the solenoid hot side from here, but put it on continuity. And we'll start with the ground. Just pick a nut or something near the starter. So now I'm going to check. It's kind of hard to get to the back side of the solenoid, but I'm going to check from the solenoid to the starter. Alright, so now I'm going to attempt to check. I'm going to attempt to get my hand back in there so that I can check from the battery side of the solenoid to the battery. And that is also good. So our wires from the battery to the starter are good. Now we just need to figure out if the solenoid is good. one lead up to the battery, and one lead up to the starter motor side of the solenoid. And then we'll turn the key to start and see if we get a tone. Okay, so the solenoid's working. I heard a click, but I also heard the beep, which means the starter solenoid, which is, for those of you who don't know, is the switch that takes the low voltage from the ignition and connects the circuit from the battery directly to the starter. So we have flow all the way down to the starter. And just to make sure that, I'm going to move this lead from the solenoid down to the starter. And try it again. Perfect. So it's not that. What would our next step be? So step one here is going to take the ground lead off of the battery. And we're going to come down here. See if I can get this with a wrench. All that ice on top of there is part of the problem. Just grab the right tool for the right job and you wouldn't have to go inside twice. This wire is not in great shape. Now that that lead's off there, you can see that the ice had built up and gotten past the insulator. And it's just shortened the whole thing out. And I'm just going to take a screwdriver here and scrape all that off. And then once I think I've gotten it, get rid of all this stuff too. So I'm still going to do an ohms test on this thing. And then we'll go from there. I'm getting about 1 ohm, so that is a good starting motor. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the wire between the solenoid and the starter off because I noticed it's getting pretty rough, so I'm just going to re-insulate some of the rougher portions of it. Alright, so I've just done a temporary insulating job on that wire. Do a better job once it gets warmer out, but that should... It wasn't grounding out on that wire, it just very easily could. I take my gloves off. And while I still have my gloves off, I'll get that other washer and nut started. That way I only have to take them off once. So, since we cleared that ice away and the starter motor checks out good, I'm going to give it another test start and see if it cranks. Well, there you have it, folks. A little bit of ice was causing our problem, which is good, because that means that the electrics on here are all still good despite being a major mess. But with it being as cold as it is, I don't think this is going to fire up today. But the good news is we solved the problem. some plans with this tractor project have changed because I do need it a little bit more urgently than I thought before, so I'm not going to be fully restoring this like I planned on. It's a possibility for next winter, we'll see, or if I pick up another tractor in the meantime, but for now this is my only rubber tired tractor and I have quite a bit of work coming up for it, so I'm not going to be able to tear it down to the bones. The next thing we're going to do is put the new hydraulic pump I got for it on here, as well as the new loader I got, and then we're going to put it to work, and hopefully it will not die again, forcing me to pull a D2 out in the middle of winter. But as you guys can see, a little bit of ice can be a major problem, so make sure you cover your tractors up better than I did this time around. And as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, if you found it helpful, hit subscribe. We do this sort of stuff all the time, and I'll see you at the next one.